Very good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of Materia Medica. We have discussed one remedy in the last session. Today we're going to learn one more, and we're going to learn a very important remedy from practice point of view. That is the Baptisia Tinctoria, a remedy which has more clinical implementation. Very often it is useful nowadays. There are many cases of PO, pyrexia of unknown origin, and many times this wonderful remedy makes is useful in our practice. So how it presents? First, we'll discuss a case. Generally, all cases of baptisia which are there with me are related with the fevers. Uh, a case, he was just a 20 years of age fellow brought to me, supported by two people around him, absolutely lost the strength. He was tremendously prostrated, suffering from fever since last 10 days, 10 to 12 days, with lot of antibiotics consumed. And he lost the strength after taking those antibiotics and everything, and he was not in a condition even to stand properly or sit on the chair. So he was during the whole consultation, he was lying on bed and he was become so weak, prostrated. And when I was putting the question, he was becoming drowsy in between. I used to ask him everything and he used to answer, and he answers half of it and he enters again into the stuporous condition. So I checked his pulse. Pulse was nearly about the 78, 79. I checked his fever. Fever was little bit more. It was 99.8 like that. And then I asked what has happened. And the whole history came that he since last 8 to 10 days he was suffering. He was admitted in the hospital. He has given strong antibiotics. He was declared to be a case of typhoid fever, and then they have given multiple things. But even after that, fever has subsided, but not yet completely cured. But patient is so become weak that he never wants to be remain over there in the hospital, and they took the AMA discharge and they brought the child to the home. And in the home, he was not able to eat. Whenever he tries to eat, a few mouthfuls he gets fulfilled feeling there, and there is a little bit gagging over there. Then I checked his tongue, and tongue was very characteristic that there was a coating completely along with the red papillae which are raised. In the center, there was little bit brownish thing. Whenever brownish things are there, generally ask whether the patient has consumed the tea or coffee. Ask that, but it was not there, and then it has a significance. And he was in a stuporous drowsy state. He was drinking a lot, but he refuses to take the solid food because whenever he tries to swallow it, many times it gets obstructed over there. So that was the case. One important thing in this case was his prostration, his drowsiness. Third important thing, the coating tongue, brownish coating at the center. Fourth important, the relative bradycardia. Relative bradycardia means when the temperature is around 99.8, his pulse should be around 90 plus. But it was not 90 plus, it was 78. So relative bradycardia always defines you to think about the baptisia first. And patient was in a little bit septicemic state. So this was the condition, and patient was having a pain whenever wherever he lies down in that position. Lying on part was becoming very sore, painful for him, and he feels that he might develop a ulcer over there because he was continuously in bed last 10 years, 10 days. So this case was clearly of baptisia for me. So I have given baptisia 200 few doses, asked them to meet me next day. When next day he was brought, he was little bit better. Better in the sense that the face, countenance was good. He was feeling confident. During follow-up, next day, after 24 hours, he was able to sit in front of me. He talked with each and everything with me. There was no confused state which was there on the first day. So that confusion, besotted appearance was lost completely within a day. And he was good person. So I just checked his pulse, again found to be nearly about 78, 80. And temperature when I took it was reduced to 98. So it was a good sign. Temperature is reduced, the pulse is maintaining, not coming down. It is not, mm, it is in going in relation. So I was happy. I was just given one more dose and I asked them again to meet me next day. And next day when he was brought, he never required support. He consumed good food, amount of food which he was not able to in last 10, 12 days. So he consumed good food. After that good food, he got that strength and he never required support. And patient recovered so nicely, pleasantly with the help of Baptisia. So this is a wonderful remedy in our practice which we can use in day-to-day practice. In this week, I have utilized this remedy twice for the entry fever cases. I used to check two important things in the case. I asked the patient to go for hemogram, yes or Vidal. Many times Vidals are positive nowadays, but you must correlate the WBC count with Vidal. There is a decreased WBC count along with the Vidal positive has a significance. Then you can say yes, this might be a typhoid. So you can give a remedy in such types of cases. If the things are opposite, that is the if Vidal is strongly positive, but count is raised too much, that is 10,000, 12,000. If such type of big count is there, then this Baptisia never plays a role because it is not specifically a Vidal positive. It might be a false Vidal positive. So you have to correlate certain things and you have to find it out the toxicity also. The face countenance is very important in typhoid, in the Baptisia, in the pyrogen. The face is quite dusky. It goes in favor of gelsemium like. But gelsemium is along with that, it's drowsy and thirstless absolutely. Baptisia is not like that. The sore breeze feeling which is there with Baptisia, like a pyrogen, both remedies, but pyrogen has clean tongue, Baptisia has brownish coating tongue. Pyrogen is having a relative tachycardia, Baptisia is having relative bradycardia. So you can easily differentiate Baptisia and catch the Baptisia in such types of cases. So let us go with the Allen's notes, what the Allen says about the Baptisia tinctoria. White indigo, leguminosae, for the lymphatic temperament. Yes, the inflammation. This remedy is the inflammatory remedy has a typical action on GI tract where the typhoid develops, and because of which the lymphatic temperament, lymphatic affections are quite common over there. So this remedy is a wonderful remedy for such types of temperaments where lymphatics gets affected, and these persons having a lymphatic temperament, temper is confused. Their picture is confused, looks like idiotic. If you ask them, they answers half of the answer and then again goes into the stuporous condition. Such type of temperament which you can easily locate in such Baptisia personality. Great prostration with disposition to decomposition of fluids. So septicemia, very typical, simple. It is a remedy for septicemia with great prostration. Another remedy, pyrogen, very clearly indicated over there, associated with ulcerations of the mucous membrane. So this remedy is associated with ulcerations of the mucous membrane. So C is the site of action. It is having action on mucous membranes, specifically GI tract where the typhoid ulcers are there. It has a disposition to go into the septicemic state. All exhaltations and discharges fetid, especially in typhoid or in other acute disease. The breath, the stool, the urine, the perspiration, the ulcers, all are offensive. And this is the characteristic of baptisia. The decomposition is so strong that it produces very offensive discharges, like soranum, like a pyrogen. Both remedies are having similar type of discharges, similar type of offensive discharges. But every remedy has its own pace. Soranum is the remedy where such types of states are present, but most chilly remedy is the soranum. Pyrogen, already we have discussed relative tachycardia with clean white clean tongue is the pyrogen. Aversion to mental exertion, indisposed or want of power to think. So patient is in a confused state. If you ask something, there is no thinking power remaining. It is confused. It is there is an aversion to do a mental exertion. If you ask them question, they say, "Upon will discuss later." They are not in a state to answer your question. They are not in a state to utilize their mind. Perfect indifference. Don't care to do anything. Inability to fix the mind on the work. And this is the state, lymphatic temperament. If you ask them to do a certain work, they say, no, not today, tomorrow. Because they postpone it only because their state is not, mental state is not in a proper way. It is confused. It is, mind is not able to concentrate on the things. That is very classical with the Baptisia Tinctoria. So patient of the fever in such a state, always think of this remedy for stupor, semi-comatose state. Stupor is semi-comatose state. Stupor falls asleep while being spoken to or in the midst of its answer. So whenever you put a question, patient starts answering and he again goes into the drowsy state. Glanian, we used to call it Glanian. That is very typical with this remedy. Very often, in between, they suddenly drops their string. When spoken to, answers correctly, but delirium returns at once. The answer, complete answer is given, and patient then goes into the delirious state is the arnica. That is the difference between the arnica and the baptisia. Baptisia never gives a complete answer. Baptisia, in the middle of answer, if they are entering into the state. Tongue, see the tongue of baptisia. Tongue is always asked in the exams. Tongue at first coated white with red peppery. Tongue is dry and yellow brown in the center. Underline this, yellow brown in the center. Later, it becomes dry, cracked, and ulcerated. But very typical white coating with red papillae with central brownish coating is the typical Baptisia tongue. For the exam going students, my suggestion is that to make a habit on the one page of the book, write down all varieties of tongues, characteristic tongues like antim-crude tongue, antim-tart tongue, Baptisia tongue, Rustock's tongue. So any examiner asks you, you should be able to define, and those are characteristics which also helps in your practice. So it becomes fixed in our mind. See the face. Face is flushed, dusky. Dusky word is very important. It becomes dull, down, down, drowsy, little bit stuporous, little bit toxic, dark red with a stupid, besotted, drunken expression like gelsemium. And that's why here it becomes very close to gelsemium. But gelsemium is absolutely thirstless. It is in very early, after the acute inflammatory state starts coming down and patient enters into the toxic state. Early state of a typhoid fever might be covered with the gelsemium. Full state of a typhoid fever is covered with bacteria and pyrogen. Can swallow liquids only, like Baretta cough. Least solid food gags. See, this is very important. Least solid food gags. It obstructs over there. Can swallow liquids only, but has an aversion to them is Celicia. See, these comparisons and hints are very essential in practice. So what is it? can swallow liquids only, but there is an aversion to take the liquids. Is the solution. Here there is no aversion. Patient goes on consuming liquids more and more, not solids at all. Painless sore throat, very important word which is used. Sore throat is there, but it is not so painful, not throbbing, pulsating. Painless sore throat, tonsils, soft palate and parotids, dark red, swollen, putrid offensive discharge like diphtheria. And that is very typical. The discharge is from the throat. They are very, very putrid, offensive, septic. Dysentery of the old people, diarrhea of the children, especially when very offensive diarrhea, very offensive discharges, typical of the bacteria with a fever. Carbovage, Podophyllum, Soranum also have typical, sorry, this typical putrid offensive discharges. Dysentery of old people then cannot go to the sleep because she cannot get herself together. This is delirious state. In the delirious state, they consider that they are scattered and they cannot put them together, and that's why they are not able to cover themselves. That is very typical. Like petroleum, there is also similar that they are made up of, they are divided into many parts in petroleum also. This is also one remedy where this delirious state is there, but it is during fever in baptisia very commonly. So cannot go to sleep because she cannot get herself together. Head or body feels scattered about the bed, tosses about to get the pieces together. Thought she was three persons, could not keep them covered like petroleum. So this is the delirious state, and this delirious state is very important in Baptisia Tinctoria. In whatever position patient lies, the parts rested upon feel sore and bruised, given in bold letters, and it has significance. Why it is given in bold letters? Because this is the theme of the Baptisia. It is very close to the pyrogen. Both remedies, typhoid fever remedies, both are having many common symptoms. Very at certain level they differs one another. Pyrogen, compare arnica and pyrogen. Arnica, it is always there. It is not always related only with fever. Any time arnica has that sore bluish feeling. Decubitus, that is a bed sores. Decubitus in typhoid, like arnica, the muriatic acid, and pyrogen. Three important remedies. Pyrogen and muriatic acid both are remedies for the typhoid fever, but every remedy has its own different state. Muriatic acid, the typhoid is there, and patient lost his complete strength, and patient lies there. He lies in such a position that his jaw is hanging down. He's slanting on the bed. Even though he's admitted in ICU in recumbent position, he slides down because he doesn't have strength himself to control himself. Then jaw, even not able to close the jaw, that hangs down. That is very difficult with this muriatic acid. Pyrogen tachycardia is very marked with pyrogen. Relationship similar to the arnica, arsenic, bryonia, gelsemium in early stages of fever with malaise, nervousness, flushed face, drowsiness, and muscular soreness. So these are remedies where muscular soreness is more common, like this bacteria, the arnica, arsenic, bryonia, and gelsemium. When arsenic has been improperly given or too often repeated in typhoid or typhus, the bacteria follows well. So Baptisia is good remedy after when arnica, arsenic fails or arsenic is improperly used. And last thing which she explains about the Baptisia, after the Baptisia, Crotellus horridus, again a septic state remedy. Hamamelis, the nitric acid, the terebinth acts well, specifically in hemorrhage of the typhoid or typhus. And this is very important thing which he has mentioned, that typhoid and typhus, if patient enters into the hemorrhage, the hemorrhagic state, then you must think about the further remedies, out of which this few important. The crotalus plays a very vital role. Whenever a septic state is there with hemorrhage, septicemia with hemorrhage, think of crotalus position. That is very important remedy. Generally, a chili, generally a right-sided than the left-sidedness. So then crotalus is the remedy. So we have finished one more remedy from this polycrest group, important from practice point of view. Tomorrow we'll again learn one more, most probably I think antimatat, which we have not yet finished, or any other. I don't know exactly which we have to discuss. I will let you know tomorrow which remedy we're going to learn tomorrow. Okay. So that's all for today. Thank you being there. Any queries there, we can have a chat. Otherwise, we'll finish. So thanks a lot. We'll meet tomorrow again. Thank you.